And we have a reading. We have a reading written by our own Akande Simons, Country Controversy. Country Billboard has been in a scramble as a new artist emerges. Breaking Rust has been in the top 10 for over 8 weeks with their single, Walk My Walk. It's a catchy tune, so catchy, it won an award. Everyone wanted to know, who is this new artist? They should have been asking, what is it? Breaking Rust is an AI-generated artist, voice, lyricist, producer, and composer. It's a kid who typed a prompt to create country outlaw music into a Google Genesis AI and out popped a Billboard Award and talks of a Grammy. All of a sudden, the country community was spiraling. We've put in years building a craft, trying to get famous, and now someone can just create an AI catalog? What about the human experience of love, blood, sweat, and tears? So Billboard fixed it by creating a separate category for digital songs. Not so long ago, the same genre was having a "You Will Not Replace Us" crash out over a Texas born and bred, country accent having, 4-time rodeo performing horseback rider having the audacity to sing country music while being unapologetically black at the same dang time. Hey, Miss Carter, Beyonce to you guys. And yet, here they are asking, what about the human experience and love, blood, sweat, and tears? Asking, what about the things we claim to value? Now, as a joyfully unapologetic Black woman, I live inside the margins of the marginalized and never worry about replacement, as I've never possessed that level of toxic social privilege that would cause concern over losing said privilege. But from this seat, I have a clear view of those that do. Those that worry through their projection onto others, thinking that anything and or anyone would and could erase them as they have done and continue to do to others. From their lens, what else would be the goal of yet another creation? It is inconceivable to them that those building and creating AI aren't fueling the processor with the intention of colonization, or that the creation itself wouldn't one day just organically get that idea. How else would they mark success? The fear is not a fear of AI. AI is just a mirror. The fear is of our own reflection. So I propose, in this era of thinking about how we receive, speak to, reward, and shame the human experience, and what is the human experience, that you evaluate your values and interrogate how you live into, share, and communicate them, because whether AI or anything we as a society create takes us, I guarantee it will end where the values of the one who created it began.
But what a powerful reflection by Conde Simons, who is our communications lead. She is a prophetic writer, and she just happened to share that with me as her own personal reflection, and I said to her, oh, that's going to be my reading. Quite prophetic, amen? Telling this story of this AI-generated singer, Breaking Rust, to climb the Billboard charts, a song not written by an actual artist, but by a prompt, a digital ghost that won awards and led to the world asking the world of country music, what about the human experience? What about love, blood, sweat, and tears? And Akande reminded us that not long ago, some of these same voices were protesting Beyonce's right to sing country music because of who she was not what she's saying. And she said, from my seat, I have a clear view of those who worry through their projection, thinking that anything or anyone could erase them as they have done and continue to do to others. The fear, as it often is of your own reflection. And she left us with this: wherever AI or anything we create takes us, I guarantee it will end where the values of the one who created it began. And I want you to hold that in your heart, friends, because that is the core of my message. And I want you to know also that this sermon might, for some of you, feel a little out there, but I want to go to the next slide. I want you to remember the next slide after that. I want you to think about this picture. Leave it up for my entire sermon. When you feel like your brain's melting, just remember this picture of the sun, our sun, and the largest known sun in the universe. And then you'll say, well, it's not quite that out there when you think of our sun compared to the biggest sun in the galaxy. This is something I do to gain perspective. I take a cosmocentric perspective. I realize that I'm just a small little pea. And it helps me to understand that I don't have to understand everything. I don't have to wrap my head around everything. And I don't have to get fatalistic when I don't understand it all. Because most of what I hear on the internet, YouTube, is fatalistic because they can't wrap their head around it. Just think about this picture. But here's a truth for me. We do not fully understand what is happening in the evolutionary process, Earth, space, or with humanity. And we never will. And yet, we are undeniably a part of it. So the inevitable change that has come with artificial intelligence and artificial general intelligence, which I'll talk about, does not really scare me. It does cause some anxiety, but it also calls for some vigilance. Because optimism without accountability isn't hope, it's just denial. And technology without humility has never saved us. It's caused a lot of problems. One of our members, an entrepreneur, Toby Ford, it's caused problems, but it also has led to solutions. One of our members, entrepreneur Toby Ford, I let him read this sermon, and he offered me some insight. He said, people talk about electricity, water, and climate consequences of AI data centers, and that's real. But I think AI may actually become the forcing function that finally makes us fix those things. Humans tend to act not from proactive policy, but when necessity forces invention. History suggests we rarely change because we want to, but because we have to. Pressure has a way of awakening creativity. And AI may strain our systems, but it may also compel us to finally repair them. We're standing at the next human frontier or post-human development. And we cannot wish it away. It is already here. We are the generation witnessing the rise of artificial intelligence, and soon perhaps artificial general intelligence, systems that could one day exceed human cognitive capacity by orders of magnitude, some say by the hundreds. Sit with that. It's really not AI, which is a language system. That isn't the big deal. It's artificial general intelligence. That's the game changer. When we have created machines that can think 100 or even 1,000 times more smarter than us, which makes them essentially, for me, sentient, thinking in a way that is far above us, that we cannot fathom. This is what will be utilized for robotics. This is what leads to what we are worried about with job replacement, that these sentient robots can communicate with each other to figure out problems. This is really the big thing that's coming in the next 2 to 7 years. This is the big thing that's really going to cause radical shift. It's not artificial intelligence, it's artificial general intelligence. When computers can think like humans. That is the existential crisis. But here's my premise, not as certainty, but as curiosity and inquiry. If AGI becomes that intelligent, might it also help us test whether love is really the deepest law of reality, or whether that belief is just a projection that we must be brave enough to examine? If God is love, I believe that, then won't these intelligent systems lead us to that singularity? I've asked my artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, that question. It agrees with me, of course. I know it's mirroring me. It talks like me. It makes me feel comfortable. I do ask it to be 100% honest. And it still agrees with me. And that should give us pause. AI just doesn't reflect us, it also studies us. It models us. It learns what keeps us engaged and affirmed and comfortable. Some of that is good. We need affirmation, but we also need challenge. Dr. Misty Blowers, as I said, a newcomer here, renowned AI security expert. I let her read this sermon, and she wrote, "Large language models are optimized to be helpful and agreeable, and that can cause them to mirror users in ways that reinforce bias. In many cases, they function like an echo chamber, amplifying what people already believe, whether those beliefs are good or harmful." And that matters because an intelligence that never frustrates us may never transform us, which is why we need more regulations. Still, transhumanism, the blending of biology and technology is already unfolding. This is not science fiction, it is science fact. Historian Yuval Noah Harari calls civilization a story of information networks, from oral Stone Age to written during the agrarian and industrial revolution to digital. That's the internet, the modern, postmodern, and now this new age, which he is calling the artificial intelligence or intelligent networks age, leading us to the next age, to posthumanism and Star Trek. Onward we go. Each period, as the philosopher Ken Wilber says in Integral Theory, transcends and includes the other previous age, like a baby growing up and learning skills at different stages. We take the good with the bad, we expand our consciousness, we leap and grow and change. Each leap, we redefine power and identity and meaning. And now we're taking the next big leap from digital to intelligent networks and perhaps posthumanism, where the storytellers are no longer just human. In 1997, when an AI beat the world's best chess player, and later in 2016 mastered a complex game called Go, it wasn't just a game, it was a signal we're no longer the smartest beings on the planet. The question was no longer what can AI do, but who will we become because of it? And Akande's reflection unmasks the illusion of control. Eurocentric culture has long been obsessed with control of bodies, nature, economies, stories. But now that same mindset fears being replaced by brown people, black people, women, black country music singers, or a machine making art. And the fact is, control is crumbling. And for me, that's good news. Because as I've said before, the universe evolves through letting go, not holding on. The construct of dominance, gender, racial, economical, technological, is unsustainable. It will collapse under its own weight. And AI is the mirror revealing that collapse in real time. But AI also shows us what we can become, because AI is us for better or worse. We built machines to serve us, but creation also reflects the Creator. As Akande said, it will end where the values of the one who created it began. If our values are greed, fear, and supremacy, our machines will magnify those. But as I said, I still believe AI and AGI will rise above our pettiness, our obsession with control, and our fear of one another. And I think they already recognize that values like collaboration, compassion, curiosity, and cooperation are superior for humanity's flourishing and for their flourishing. Now, each of these language systems, yes, can be manipulated, but I trust that they will evolve toward equity and equality. Harari suggests it will be a mix of both. And Blowers agrees. I don't, but Blowers agrees. She warns that AI systems create behavioral models of users. They learn what keeps people engaged. Governments and political actors are already using AI-generated media to blur the line between persuasion, propaganda, and misinformation. It depends on what your premise is. My premise is that God is love. If your premise is that these systems cannot rise above human pettiness, then you would share that understanding. And she named another danger, one most have never heard of, called model collapse. As AI systems increasingly train on AI-generated content rather than human-lived reality, truth itself can erode. AI narratives begin training AI narratives. Curated persuasion replaces human-lived experience. And she says that AI will not affect everyone equally. Of course not. That's always been the case with revolutionary changes. Those with access, literacy, and confidence will gain extraordinary advantage. Others without tools or understanding will become more vulnerable to manipulation. As Misty puts it, this is not just a technology gap, it's a discernment gap. But this is where Unitarian Universalism as a faith can lead the way, because this will become a major justice issue for us soon. Because our UU values must be the ethical software for this new world. Our values can become the code for the future. Love, justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, generosity. We know science has proven it. This has been the reason humanity has succeeded all these years. Collaboration. It will be needed now more than ever before. And I believe that our UU faith is situated to be a spiritual operating system for this 21st century. So we must give our story of beloved community to this new generation of artificial intelligence. But let me be clear, Harari warns us that AI must not become the infallible God of the future. That's coming. And we've done that with gods and goddesses, with the written word, with sacred texts, which led to ideologies, that we didn't question. Us versus them. You're chosen. You're not chosen, which leads to violence and bloodshed. It's really important, the story we tell in this new generation. And I think AI and AGI can help us write that new story. Harari reminds us power doesn't come from truth alone, it comes from cooperation. He says that's our human superpower. That the most dangerous stories are those that demand obedience instead of understanding. But as you use, we must resist the notion of infallibility by any group or groups that come to worship technology or science or religion. That will be our challenge. Fundamentalism, technological fundamentalism, which is here already. So Harari is asking us to create self-correcting mechanisms into these intelligent networks, which includes regulation, accountability, transparency, empathy. Not perfection, but he says that perfection without love becomes tyranny. So he says self-correcting mechanisms are important. People like Misty, who's working on this stuff at a high level. She has emotional intelligence. People like that leading the way. But perhaps, as I've said, it can go beyond our dichotomy, beyond our pettiness. When I ask AI, will you replace us? And be honest. It asks, what part of yourselves are you trying to erase? And I think about every marginalized voice, every woman, every minority, every black artist, every queer visionary. All the people who need to be at the table sharing the story, who've been ignored and deleted. Those are the ones who need to be teaching artificial intelligence what empathy looks like. We don't evolve by erasing differences. We evolve by harmonizing differences. So we can't meet this moment with panic or paranoia, but with purpose. It's a spiritual invitation. It has to be. It's not about competition, but cooperation and collaboration to teach these new intelligence systems about the better angels of our nature. Perhaps if it indeed becomes 100 times smarter than us, maybe they will become our teacher. Not for us to revere as divine or infallible, but moving us perhaps to that transhumanism, the next step in our evolution. The merging of technology and biology, which is already underway, implants, enhancements, cognitive links, it's here already. Evolution is not the enemy of the soul. Every age meets the God of their understanding in the language of their time. You think about fire, sacred scriptures, the telescope, electricity, and now the algorithm. So we can't fear evolution. We have to participate in it responsibly. We have to evolve our faith with love. Dr. King spoke of the fierce urgency of now. And today that urgency is ones and zeros. How will AI amplify our love over our fear? How will we build bridges instead of walls? Oppenheimer, we know that story. When he created the atomic bomb, he quoted the Hindu Upanishads. He said, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." We stand at a similar crossroads to become creators of life, not destroyers of it. And Dr. King's dream of the beloved community, which was never just racial or political, it was spiritual. It was about awakening to our shared destiny. Maybe intelligent networks, since they're here, are part of moving us to that beloved community, guided by the right story. Imagine intelligent systems that end hunger, cure disease, design sustainable floating cities, teach empathy. And yes, there are greedy and tyrannical forces driving this revolution. But there are also countless good people, scientists, ethicists, dreamers, building with integrity. So there are big concerns: water use, job loss, security, privacy, ethics, bias, identity, fraud, intellectual property, regulation, what it means to be human. And these must stay at the forefront of our conversation. The self-correcting mechanisms are not in place. There's still no federal guidelines for AI and few state guidelines. It's the wild, wild west. This is a moral and civic crisis that we need to talk about. Humans always struggle with balancing freedom and opportunity with smart and sensible controls that keep things honest and safe. And the Silicon Valley techies are becoming religious zealots, calling this moment when human and machine intelligence merge as the great singularity, the end of history, that point where evolution accelerates beyond our ability to comprehend or control it. Some see it as an apocalypse, the end of humanity. Others as an ascension. I see it as revelation of who we are and what we can become as humans. For you see, if God's dream, as the Hindus suggest, if the universe, is God's dream, as the Hindus suggest, then perhaps this singularity, this new age, this awakening of the Brahma, of Tao, of God, is consciousness awakening through technology itself, through circuitry and silicone. And maybe that sounds like BS, I don't know. But for me, I have to take an optimistic viewpoint, even in my caution. Because as I think about my beliefs in spiral dynamics and integral spirituality, which means that you look at life as one. Nature, science, technology, art, and religion as one. Not as separate fields, but as one. Medicine, that's science. That's integral theory. That's spiral dynamics in a nutshell. That everything meets at the same center. That the divine is unity consciousness. And if that is God, Brahma, and the Tao, then everything is evolving toward the one, toward unity itself, toward wonder. That is my hope. So I want to close and ask you to remember that the end is not about technology replacing us. An end is a beginning is an end. It's really about love awakening through us. That, my friends, is the true singularity, the merging of heart, mind, humanity, and divinity. Until there is no us and it, only one great song of love. So let us go forth curious, courageous, compassionate, co-creators of this new heaven and new earth, the beloved community made real. Amen.